So we're back again, second day on the footings. This one I bedded on Monday. It's pretty close to being square with that with the other side. We've got a bay here. I'm going to build a bay corner and run this gable in first. My dad's here taking it steady on these big blocks because my knee hurts and the gobbo is horrible. So we're going to just have a go, see how we get on. It's, can't really see that, but it says 12 minutes past 10. And this is the time we got started the other day. We've got this corner built where the bay is, rack back, and then the bay comes out around here, and we've got a 4-inch block in front of that to support a plinth course. A couple of ties out there because I didn't have any 4-inch because the forklift driver hadn't managed to bring them yet. We've got plenty of blocks to run in, a nice 20 block stretch there or more. So we're going to set up and do a bit of a time lapse me laying them. Hey guys, back again with another bricklaying vlog, day 2 on the footings. I missed the video yesterday just because I was absolutely fucking knackered from laying these. Just a word of warning from last video, I don't recommend laying these. They're just too heavy. They're just too heavy, and if any guys are in this who are building supers at the moment, just like I was, don't recommend going footings unless you've got, you know, certain types of gear. You know what I mean? I'd probably, if I had to use those traditional dumpy blocks, I might, the OG dumpy blocks, I might have thought of different, but these fucking super blocks, that people like them though. I was chatting to a few brickies and they loved laying them. They're like, oh, I earn loads of money on these, and I was like, but why? Why would you want to lay them? Even if you're earning money, why would you want to lay them? They're just awkward and fucking heavy. So yeah, how did day 2 go? Day 2 was the best day. So we had the gear where we needed it because the old man had loaded out in front in a way. Even though we were only getting gear from one corner, we weren't getting it dropped where we should have, you know, where it should be going. This was the best day by far. So, you know, I probably laid about the same amount of work. I got the same amount of work done that I do on the brick almost. Probably not to the same extent, but a steady day on the brick was like a steady day on the blocks here. And we had everything where we needed it. We were running 2 gables in. You know, I wasn't messing about with middle walls and stuff. So this was the best day. I got about 170 odd blocks laid in on this day, which was, you know, not bad for a second day on them. I had the line on the wrong side of the blocks a lot of the time because I was having to lift the blocks over the line. So if you guys watch any of these sort of spec mix fastest round the block, or you watch any guys building footings, especially these massive type of blocks, they always recommend having the line on the, you know, on the inside, so you're not having to lift the block over the line. So I was pretty happy considering it was a less efficient way of laying them. You know, the actual ease of building these are dead easy. Measurements all, you know, pinned out for you and everything, so no having to check your levels. The one thing that I didn't consider is that they backfilled all this after I built it, so I can't go and measure down to my concrete anymore. So the measurement that I got on my trench, which was pretty much to the gauge that I was given, to the height that I was given, that's it. So I can't go down to check it again. So all I've got to do now is sort of remember what I had presume that I picked up my block work to the measurement given, and then I've got to basically be within 10 mil. So, which I will be. I can remember the measurements. But luckily I wasn't miles out, or else this would have been awkward. But yeah, that's one of the things. I wasn't happy with how they dug out the trenches. Trenches were all over the place. I got told by a few ground workers afterwards that I dropped on a bad one. The position of the plot and the layout of the footing was just probably the worst on the site. So it is what it is. After this, we've got a course of trench on one side, then a course of 4-inch on one side. Then at the other side, we've got a course of 4-inch, and then like 8 courses blues. Staffordshire blues. Those bricks are actually quite good to lay when it's hot. They're just like a normal engineering when it's hot, but you know, knowing me, it'll rain. But yeah, so I've got mixed feelings about these. Like, you know, if I did a couple more of these and set the middle walls out differently, had the line on the other side of the block, had the gear where we needed it, had a solid few days uninterrupted, I probably could have got more blocks down, probably might have had a better experience. But from what I'd had from this first experience on the footings, I probably don't really want to do another one. I said to them I wasn't happy with the price. They wouldn't budge from 180 a block. These should really be £2 a block, but 180, you can still make money on them, don't get me wrong. If you can lay 150, 160, 170 blocks in a day, you still got enough to pay yourself and a labourer. You could earn £1,000 a week without any issues. But if you're wanting to earn sort of a bit more, like 12, 13, 14, 1500, you really need to fucking get throwing them in, and it's a bit out of reach at that price for most people. I know there's guys who can say they'll lay 300 blocks a day, probably more, but if you haven't got a labourer spreading for you, or a labourer passing you every block, or getting everything right there, basically a super labourer, you're going to struggle. The one day that we did that I laid 170, I wasn't really killing myself, but my old man was. So it's very labour intensive, so definitely couldn't do this on your own. I worked 2 days on my own on these. I managed to lay about 120, 130 blocks in those days, on each day. So, and that was some going. So even if you lay 130 blocks on your own, you're still making good money really, but it's just a lot of hard work. So if there isn't any work close to your house, and when it comes to supers or walls, garages, whatever, and you've got to take this type of work, you've got to work for a footing firm, I'd say do it if you haven't got to travel. Like this site we're on, I said I don't like the price of them, and I don't really like laying them, but if push comes to shove and I'm running out of work, I will have to go on them again. So I take this out of fucking travelling an hour to a different site. So you might see me laying them again, just depending on what the price is. So if I can somehow get the price a bit better, somehow haggle them up to getting an extra 20p a block, these would definitely be something it'd be just a nice steady wage. So, but at 180 it's a push. You've really got to kill yourself to get, or start pushing the envelope to get some down. Maybe this might be different in winter, but then you've got the elements to deal with, all the mud and the water in the trenches. So and having to point both sides of the block, God, you can leave that for another. I could do without that. You're all on pointing both sides of a brick on a garage, let alone pointing both sides of a block that's never going to be seen. I was pointing it with a glove sometimes when I just got sick of using the jointer. These have the pros and cons though. As you can see, this is all real time. There's no 2x speed in this video. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys have had a good week. It's been hot, and hopefully we're going to get some cooler weather in the UK now, and it'll be better for us bricklayers. Hot weather never goes well. You end up doing a good hour and a half, 2 hours less work a day in total with the heat. I know a lot of the guys on our site were leaving a good hour, 2 hours earlier than they normally do. I was probably the only one still working a lot of the time because I was determined to give these footings a good go, especially on the first time on a new type of work or a new job. This is still the same site I've been working on for ages, but it's a new type of work. You always want to give it a good go. You want to think, yeah, can I make money on this? You want to make it, as they say, make it pay. And sometimes the circumstances just weren't there. Hopefully we're going to get compensated for the lack of access to this footing, which with the time we lost, if we'd have actually been laying blocks for that time, we'd have made, I'd have made some significantly more, I'd have made at least a couple £100 more if it had been laid out how it should have been, which then would have made these a good earner, regardless of the price being 180 a block. So there's that to think about. There's a lot of factors. You can't always judge a book by its cover with it, on the first read. as you say, you know, like on the first time doing some work, obviously the things that slow you down, which I was sort of probably didn't realise were slowing me down. So I'd have built as well, with having to tie these middle walls in, I would have took them out I would have returned them 2 blocks. I wouldn't have been as finicky on the, you know, trying to get everything as perfect as I was today. Sometimes you're a bit, you know, you're a bit hesitant when you're on a new type of work, trying to make a good job of it. But to be honest, with the key around all these, the key that goes around the face of all these blocks, it just like it makes it look messy, because you go to flush the joint up and then it spreads up the face of the block, and it just doesn't flush in a nice spot, like, you know, like the clinker style lumpies do. So, you know, the work wasn't looking great anyway, but it was gauge level plumb, I can tell you that much. So it wasn't pretty. It's going to be buried, but it was, you know, I got it in. I got about 520 blocks in this week. I did half a day on the Monday, really. I did 4 hours on the Monday. I worked about 8.5 hours on the Friday, and we did like 2 normal 6 or 7 hour days, about 7 hour days. Normally we did about 7 hours on the rest of the 6.5, 7 hours on the rest of the week for one of the days my dad was with me. So, you know, I did like two decent days. I did a half a day sort of with my dad. I did another full day with him, and then like a normal full day again on my own, and then like I did like a super day on the Friday. I got there at like 7 o'clock. I started loading blocks up, and at 7 I loaded a pack and a half of blocks out by half past 7, 20 to 8, and then I went and got a tub out. I was using on these blocks as well, to lay the amount of blocks I was laying, it were requiring me to get 2 full tubs of mortar. So to literally get about 150 blocks plus in, I was having to literally scrape the bottom of 2 tubs of mortar. So 150, 160 blocks, depending on if you're on straight runs or you're building corners, or how many voids you have in your blocks. Because a lot of the time you'll find on these big heavy trench blocks is that they tend to have a lot of chips in them where they like crack the corners off and stuff, so you wasted all that mortar filling up. And because we had to get it so wet, the mortar doesn't seem to go as far, because it's like really wet and doesn't have any like sort of structure to it. So that's all a factor. The heat was a factor. There's loads of things that could have made these a really good piece of work to work, you know, really good earners, really good steady number, but it just wasn't for me this week. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm a bit out of shape. Maybe I'm just not used to these blocks. That could be a big thing. A lot of the time it takes you a good few. You know, I found laying them easier and easier every day that I laid them. So maybe another week or 2 laying them, might have a different opinion. But I'll see how it goes on the splash. I'll sort of, you know, because I think I'll have to complete the splash course and the 4-inch splash. With, you know, your air bricks and lintels and stuff. I'm gonna have a word again with my supervisor who I work for, and have a chat about the prices again, because they can't find anyone to build these footings at the moment because of the prices. They've already had a gang jack the other week, and you know, I don't blame them, to be quite honest, because it's a heavy work, it's hard graft. You know, to earn £200 in a day, you have to fucking put some effort in. You know, it's not, you know, that sort of day worker type money, £200 a day, and you're having to put some graft in to earn that on price. So it's not as easy as laying bricks. You know, you can lay 600-700 brick in a day without much effort. You know, if you're on the right runs and got the right setup. And 600 or 700 bricks worth a lot more than, you know, however many blocks you can get down in a day on these. You know, 150 blocks, you know, 200 maybe at a push. That's what I'm thinking is going to be my limit on these. Looking at how big they are, that's what limits you getting them down as quick, is the size. So I was looking at some of the, just the size of some of these blocks and the way, you know, we're getting the gear. Even with my old man having all the gear right next to him, loading them up, I can't see myself getting that. I'd have to lay I'd have to lay 2 gables in a day. Well, I'd have to lay 1 gable. Say I'd set the first course out, I'd have to lay 2 gables in a day, and the corners. I don't think I could do that myself. Looking at some of the, just looking at what they want, and if they maybe didn't want the blocks pointing, definitely it's doable. I could definitely lay all that time spent pointing in a day. You could probably lay some more blocks, but it's just something to think about, definitely. So we're going to cut to another timestamp here, and then we're going to finish out. I think I'm going to finish out this video with another little check-in of me talking, and then we're going to cut out with some music. So hope you guys enjoy the second video on the footings, and I'm just going to do a check-in. This is like how I was feeling on the day. So 11:15. We got front up, 2.5 course on this gable, middle wall set out here. We got this front in, this little dog leg ties out for your return round here, double skin. So we started at 9:15, got his gobbo. Right, it's 11:15. All jointed, as you can see here. What I did is I jointed the outside with the jointer, and there's some little gaps, but I've been just rubbing it with my glove. This side I've jointed, obviously, and the outside, but any inside stuff, rubbing it with my glove, flushing up as I go. Yeah, I've got a bit of a better technique to do these now. We're now loading up on the outside on this type of footing, since they're going at least 5 or 6 high, and then we're doing all the gobbo on the right hand side, and then first 2 course blocks inside as well. And yeah, see how it goes. Give some snap. So it's just me running this last course in now. So although I'd made this video actually 3 times, not this particular video, but I made these footing videos a couple of times because my opinion changed so much in between each sort of video, and I think it might have changed a little bit from last video. You know, would I recommend doing these, should I say? Would I recommend going in the footings as an apprentice? I'd actually say yeah. I'd actually say doing footings as an apprentice, you know, you don't have to get a lot of material laid to make your money, but you know, it is heavy work. So if you've got, you know, if you've got like another apprentice with you, or you've 2 apprentices, or you know, and you're fit, and you've got a good young fit labourer, you know, this could be definitely something to, you know, get a wage in every day, building these. You're not probably going to make super money on them, obviously, if you're in a gang, if you're in a couple, you're in a gang, but it's definitely some steady work. There's not a lot you can get wrong with these. Obviously there's your measurements, but it's just basic stuff. These walls as well were meant to be in 4-inch block, but the whole site, the way they wanted it, if you look on the drawings, on the drawing video I'm going to do, it shows them as a 4-inch wall, like a 100mm wall. But with these blocks, we recommended using these blocks because the mud tends to knock them about a bit too much, the 4-inch. So I use these blocks, which you get paid a little bit more per block, just a little bit, and then you have a bit of wiggle room then. So if you set your block in the middle of where the wall should be, you've got, you know, 100mm each side to tweak your measurements. Obviously you can't get your measurements wrong on the outside walls because it's all pinned out. The only thing you've got to be worried about is the heights, and hopefully if like myself on this footing in particular, I got all the heights right to gauge within, I think I got it within 5mm on all of them. They were in a couple of mil on all of them, and the only one that was lower was the one of the front corner was 10mm low, so that's the only thing I had to pick up on. But you can sort of average those out now. So say everything is in to gauge within 5mm, you can set everything to just standard gauge then, and then, you know, you'll only be 5mm difference, you know, everywhere. Everything will be in within 5mm. especially if you get given all the measurements like I have. You can sort of get a mean average of all the heights and set it all to one height. That's what we used to do, you know. We used to just set everything to sort of, you know, one particular height or within 5 mil of a height, and then, you know, you can't go far wrong really. All your corners are within 5 mil of being level of each other, so it's definitely something that can, you know, it's an ease of building things. So, but yeah, so that's it, guys. I've been watching the Spec Mix 500 this weekend. I'm going to carry on watching it. I'm about an hour and a half into it, and we've got another 3 hours left. You know, call me sad for watching Bricklaying on a weekend, but I enjoy watching the shows. I enjoy getting little tips and tricks from it. It fascinates me how many they can get down in an hour. Like, you know, most of us do well to get 200 bricks down in an hour, and these guys are doing 400, 500, 600, 700 sometimes, up to 900 sometimes with, you know, the right techniques. There's a guy this year in the Spec Mix doing pick and dip. I'm going to probably do a separate video on that, and that if I think he's going to do as well as I think he's going to do, I'm going to upload a video talking about it. So it's just showing pick and dips working its way into the speed world of bricklaying, so definitely something to take note of there. So obviously all this footage is real-time speed. As you can see, I was laying these pretty steady, and that was because of the weight and the heat. And this is the reason why I was hypercritical in the first clip, obviously me talking of these not being worth as much as they should. The heavy work, they require 3 trowels for mortar on a 10-inch trowel wide heel to lay. You might be able to cut this down to maybe 2 trowels worth on an 11-inch, but still, that's a lot of weight you're lifting up in mortar and a lot of weight you're lifting up in block. Whereas with a 4-inch block, we get 160 per 4-inch, and we're only getting 180 for these. You can lay a trowel worth of mortar for 1 block, and then you can have half a trowel full to butter it. So that is 50% less mortar for a block, and it is 50% the weight at least, and you're getting only 10% more for your money, you know, for your efforts. So you're using double the mortar, it's double the weight at least, if not triple, and you're only getting not 100% more money for them, you're getting 10% more. So, you know, where, you know, guys will argue all day, oh, you can earn some really good money in the ground, there's some really good money in the footings. You know, just think about the maths. It's all mathematics when it comes to efficiency and earning money on price. Just look at the mathematics of it, you know. If you've got an apprentice spreading for you while you're doing this, and, you know, if you've got an apprentice spreading your bed for the block while you're buttering it, and you're just literally lifting the block buttered into, you know, buttering the block you've put down and lifting the block on, yeah, you can get a lot. You know, that's when it becomes, you know, you're earning some good money there, because you're cutting out half the movement. But if you're doing it all on your own like I am, obviously I did 2 days solo on these footings as well, and I tell you what, loading 150 blocks out and then only managing to lay 120 of them, 130 of them in a day because you're that fucking knackered, and they're that awkward after you've been lifting them, especially when you get to the last couple of courses up to 5 high. You know, when you get to about 11.25 and stuff, you know, it gets fucking awkward, I'll tell you that much. So you know, it's just something to think about. Anyway, I don't know what I'm gonna title this video. I'm gonna put like day 2 in the footings, awkward fucking blocks, yeah, something like that. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed this style of video with the check-ins, I'm going to be doing a purely check-in based video next tomorrow, and that's going to have some of the footage from today in, so I will go over some of that in the next video, and I'll decide whether I'm going to do some more of these footings in the coming weeks, in the coming days when I'm next back on site next week. So anyway, guys, thanks so very much for watching. The support's been fantastic. We're almost at 700 subs. Give us a like, give us a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for daily masonry and bricklaying content of all types, price work, day work. I'm going to do some videos in the future as well on remedials, how to get remedials in a little bit quicker, what tools you need for different remedial jobs if you're ever taking on any day works. You know, might help you guys out. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.